Good afternoon to you, Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com, here with your Hurricane Pro and HD video blog for the 23rd of August 2013. Tropics pretty quiet today. This one area in the Gulf of Mexico, 10% chance of development. This is in association with a surface trough. We'll take a look real quick at a satellite animation of the Gulf of Mexico, and you can see that. Really not much organization with the system, and the Hurricane Center not expecting much to come of it. Pretty good mass of showers and thunderstorms, though, that's for sure. Hopefully this can come over westward under a building ridge of high pressure over the central part of the U.S., and that'll shove this system towards the west and bring perhaps some rainfall to areas that need it, specifically Texas. That would be nice. Farther down in the Caribbean Sea, another area. This is a true tropical wave right here that came from Africa, in what we call an easterly wave. This is migrating off to the west and west-northwest with time. This whole area is starting to get a little bit more favorable for development, though none of the global computer models are developing anything of significance just yet. In the eastern Pacific, we have Tropical Storm Evo, or Ivo, however you say it, and it will parallel the Baja Peninsula on its way up to the north and northwest. And then maybe, just maybe, some of this moisture can get streamed off into the southwest United States and bring some rainfall, as long as it's not excessive. And remember, for the desert southwest, a couple of inches can be considered excessive rain in those dry washes and the areas of the Sonoran Desert where things are very dry. A couple inches of rain can be a big deal, but maybe some moisture. Not expected to be a hurricane, and therefore no big threat of impact to the Baja. So I want to take a look at a couple things related to the Atlantic. The dry air, the sinking stable dry air mass, still prevalent, but we're starting to moisten things up. As you can clearly see, change takes time. This is not something that happens overnight. Sometimes it almost seems like it does in certain years, but this year it's been a slow progression towards a more active time period. And if you look, let me just kind of divide things in half. From about 65 degrees longitude right here and points east, it's pretty dry. West of 65 longitude, things are nice and moist, much more of a rising air pattern, ascending air, and deep tropical convection, as you can clearly see throughout this area. Tropical wave here, disturbance in the Pacific, the surface trough in the Gulf of Mexico, lots of moisture off the southeast coast. But in the Atlantic, we still have this cyclonic, sinking, warming air, much like a bicycle pump. When you compress the air, it warms and it dries out, and anything that tries to come into that air mass gets squashed and you don't get any development. Well, I think that's going to change. I've been talking about this, and I want to back it up with some sound reasoning. First of all, wind shear is not the issue. This is the normal tropical Atlantic vertical wind shear profile. This is the chart, and the black line here is your climatological mean right through here. I'll paint it with yellow. And so this is where your average wind shear should be. Right now, it's below, and quite a bit so, and we've been below average for quite a while in August, and even for most of July as well. In fact, right at the beginning of July, we were substantially below the climatological average for wind shear. Wind shear is the difference in wind speed and the height of the atmosphere. Hurricanes need the winds to be light so that that tropical convection can go up and not be torn off in one direction. So vertical wind shear, not an issue at all. Instead, it's that dry air mass that I talked about, but that's going to change. We see the Madden-Julian oscillation, the MJO, this upward motion in the atmosphere, heading towards the phases 1 and 2 that really support development in the Atlantic Basin. Right now it's just still kind of stuck over here at the very, very low amplitude of phase 8. So it's barely detectable, but it looks like it's going to be amplifying. And the ensemble mean here, that's the green line that I've painted over in red, indicating it heading quite amplified into phases 1 and 2, which clearly the research shows and just past observations. You can just go see. It's out there. You ought to research, Google search Dr. Phil Klotzbach, the co-author of the seasonal forecast for hurricane activity, and the MJO. See if you get the return that I'm hoping you will, that'll show you this chart. And I think he's actually got it on his update, maybe the bi-weekly updates that he's doing at Colorado State University, where you see that when the MJO is in certain phases, what kind of tropical activity we get. And so it's not theory. There's proof that when the MJO is in phases 1 and 2 especially, we get increased tropical cyclone activity in the Atlantic Basin. Of course, it's never a guarantee, and maybe we'll go the whole season without any hurricanes, but I think that would be foolish to plan on that happening or to hope that that happens, because hope is not a planning tool. Being prepared is, and part of being prepared is staying up to date. And at least things are quiet now, but you got to know down in your heart that that's going to change, and we're at least going to have something to track of significance before too long. I say give it another week, and this time next Friday we will probably be talking about a lot more than just dry air in the tropics. No worries this weekend. Hopefully some rain for Texas is coming as that disturbance moves across the northern Gulf. Other than that, things are nice and quiet. Again, I am Mark Sudduth. HurricaneTrack.com is my website. Always an honor to produce these videos for you to enjoy and hopefully learn something from on Hurricane Pro in HD. You can also tell I'm getting my voice back, which is wonderful. Have a great weekend. I'll be here throughout the weekend with more updates then.